I think a lot of them feel really relieved because a lot of them have saved. Women are really good savers. We run households, sometimes of 6 people. We're juggling bills where there's mortgages, there's school fees going out, there's school notes going out. So women are actually very good managers of money. It's the next step we don't tend to take. For some reason, and I was talking to a very successful woman about this the other day, she said, oh, no, we're a great team. I do the searching and my husband does the buying. I said, oh, interesting. So you do the pretty bit at the beginning and you hand over the finances to you. And she went, oh, yeah, I suppose so.
Welcome to the Buyers Age Institute show. The purpose of the show is to bring awareness to buyers' agents, to bring awareness around the career opportunities that the sector is providing people, to bring awareness around the value that buyers' agents are providing people who need help buying property. Our goal with the show is to strip back and dive into the remarkable stories and journeys of buyers' agents who are paving the way forward in one of the fastest growing career sectors in real estate right now. Our guest today is Elaine Davies. She's from the UK, she's from Wales, she's got an awesome career background. It's very diverse. She was a TV and radio presenter. She was a magazine columnist. She is an author. She recently published a book called Mind, Body, Sold. She's published, I believe, 4 books. She's also worked as a selling agent, and that was in Asia. And when she did go through a divorce, when she was back in Australia, she then got back into becoming a selling agent again, but then realized that the buyer was heavily misrepresented. There was a massive gap. The buyer needed more attention. So she became a buyer's agent. She worked for a few firms. We actually worked together at my former company, Cohen Hanlon. She's awesome. And now she's recently started her own business called New Road Property. And Elaine has a very strong purpose. I think it's very deep. It's really focused on empowering women, helping women become more financially secure, helping women understand how to get the money to work for them, and using property as an investment vehicle to really achieve it. I'm super excited to introduce Elaine. Welcome.
Ben, thank you. What a beautiful introduction. You're so gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. There's a lot there with you. You've got a good background. It's a deep background.
Yeah.
So did I nail it?
Nailed it. There's no retakes here.
Awesome. You got the book there, Mind, Body, Soul.
Yeah, I've got the book. So you're right. I wrote this because I really, you were a buyer's agent. I'm a buyer's agent, but not everybody wants to use a buyer's agent, and maybe people live in small communities. So I gave away every single tip, everything from the searching to the negotiating. It's all in here. So for $30, people can have our experience. But I also delved into mindset, because a lot of times people don't buy not because they don't know how to look and not because they haven't got the money, but there's something in them. They're in poverty mindset, or people around them are going, don't do that. Come on, come out for a cocktail. Don't save that money. They haven't got goals. They haven't got vision. So I wrote that as well. And I've also written a little part about why women do the wealth short straw and the circumstances around that. But more importantly, what we can do about it.
It's powerful. And I love the heading. And I know I spoke to you last year about it. I read it and it is very good. And you give away a lot. I always admire when people actually give it all out. They're not just giving a bit as like a tickler. They're
not a lead magnet.
It's that ain't a lead magnet. No, but I think you've got a lot of experience. You know, as I said, you've worked as a selling agent overseas. You've worked as a selling agent here in Sydney for a long time. You've worked as a buyer's agent. You're running your own company now. You've also got life experience. You've been a writer. You are a writer. You've got a lot to bring to the table, right? And I think more importantly, what I feel connected with what you're doing is, even though I'm not a female, but is how you are connected with serving women.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Why are you so passionate about it?
Well, 2 reasons. I'm glad you asked me that. There's a really big picture in that statistics are showing that the growing stats around homelessness is women. And it's growing ever more. So women coming out of divorces or all kinds of reasons, but women are actually ending up on the streets. So that's the big picture. So I just want to be a tiny little cog in helping that level down, come back a bit. And that, I think, is a lot to do with mindset and people. Now, on a personal level, as you say, I was on the TV. I was on many radio stations, including TV, Qantas, I think I was writing for 7 magazines. I was publishing authors. I was the Kerry Bickmore of Sydney. And I was running labs, I was flying all over the world, I was working just on even back then on my computer. But then I got married, and within 4 years, I was a single mother of a 2-year-old. Now, if I hadn't frittered that money away in my 20s and 30s, I would have been fine. But I was of the mindset then, and I don't come from a family where we create money. I come from a family where you work hard. We're grafters, that working class thing, but it's week to week, and everything's got to be hard, And my own story, like my life would be, I've caught up now, but when my marriage broke up, I was like, okay, what do we do now? And it was quite tough for quite a number of years. So yeah, I've seen that story happen so many times, and it's so easy just to save a little bit and get an investment.
Yeah, well, it sounds easy, but a lot of people don't do it.
We just need to spend less and save more. My grandmother had 4 dresses in her, I think she had 3 dresses in her wardrobe. A day dress, a church dress, and something else. I think how big the wardrobes were. They were just little wooden wardrobes.
I'm surprised about the women and the homelessness. I actually didn't know that. That's insightful. How are you finding women in terms of them being receptive to wanting to go on this journey, to really have the money working for them and to really start building wealth themselves?
I think a lot of them feel really relieved because a lot of them have saved. Women are really good savers. We run households, sometimes of 6 people. We're juggling bills, there's mortgages, there's school fees going out, there's school notes going out. So women are actually very good managers of money. It's the next step we don't tend to take. For some reason, and I was talking to a very successful woman about this the other day, she said, oh, no, we're a great team. I do the searching and my husband does the buying. I said, oh, interesting. So you do the pretty bit at the beginning and you hand over the finances to you. And she went, oh, yeah, I suppose so.
Handballs it.
Handballs it. You do the negotiations. I don't want to do that. We're really good negotiators, women. We are constantly negotiating all day, every day. And we need to own that on a really deep and powerful level and just kind of step up and go, yeah, man, I'm going to create this life.
I personally think that women, in my time that I was working in specifically the buyer's agent space in my company, I actually think women are more suited for the role. I think the selling side is very alpha male, dog eat dog, and I would see that I know you've been a selling agent, I haven't, but I would see it'd be harder for a lady on that side. I maybe that's wrong, but that's how I see it, unfortunately. But on the buy side, I think the women have the power, and I hope to see more women.
Me too. It'd be great to see more women in the industry as a whole. But it's interesting you're saying, because I became a buyer's agent because I didn't like the way the buyers were being treated. And while I'm in real estate, and so are you, I think we're pretty honest people, like our core is that, but we're working for the particular clients we're working for. And I remember it happened to me a few times. A buyer would call me and say, because I'd built up such a good relationship, look, Elaine, I can go another 20, but don't tell the vendor. Start at 5. Well, they'd already told the vendor. I was the vendor's representative, so I'd kind of file my nails all day, go for a coffee and come back and go, really exciting news, we've got it for the 20. I couldn't get it for 5, don't worry about that. Really exciting, got it for the 20. So, and I was a pretty level negotiator. So yeah, absolutely, people really need a buyer's advocate because you're making money when you buy, not when you sell. You buy rubbish, it's not going to come up above the median, which is what we all want, yeah? So I would rather see people put their money into a buyer's agent than into a real estate agent.
It's fascinating what you just shared. I'm not surprised regarding how transparent buyers are with real estate agents. I think they forget that the selling agent works for the vendor.
Selling agents, just by their nature, are friendly, yeah? Even if they're not behind closed doors, but a lot are. I've got nothing against selling agents, but they're working for the vendor. And they just don't know.
How was the shift? I know you've been a buyer's agent for a while. This is not new to you,
no.
and real estate's not new to you either. You've got a lot of experience. However, how was that shift when you moved? Because you would have moved from a selling agent to a buyer's agent at a time when it was still not very recognised.
Yeah, well, I was kind of one of the first. Like, not really. There was another batch before me, but it wasn't like it is today. I loved it straight away. Yeah. And the guy I was working for had, he's quite a flashy guy around town. Hi, Chris. And he had his Ferrari, and actually it's not that fun to get in and out of. They're better on paper than they are. No, but apart from that, I loved it straight away, looking at all these amazing properties, but not getting fooled by the smell of fresh coffee and lights on inside and all that, because it's so a lot of it is common sense, but you only know once you know.
It's true, and you get fooled. A lot of buyers get fooled. They walk into a place and they don't judge the light correctly. They go at the wrong time of day. They can do stupid things. So let's talk about New Road property.
Yes, okay.
So you're based in the inner west, or?
So yes, I am based in the inner west and in the city.
Okay, inner city. So you're focusing on
inner west and east, which is why I chose to have my office in the city, because because I really know both just as well as each other. Yeah.
And they're good areas to service.
They're great, and I love them both. Yeah.
Are you specialising primarily in owner-occ, investor, both?
I'd say I'm 50-50, and it's funny, I was just thinking about two of the last properties I bought. I bought a beautiful terrace house here in Surrey Hills for 2.3 million, and I bought an apartment, I can't remember the name of the suburb now, for 850. But the apartment was for owner-occupiers, and the 2.3 million was for investors, and they could easily have been the other way around, yeah? So a good property is a good property.
What happened during COVID? I mean, obviously, for all of us, it was shock.
Yeah.
It was quick.
Yeah.
A lot of change. What did you notice? Like, whether it was property or anything, like...
Well, my garden's looking good.
Your gardens.
It's never looked so good. Obviously, for a while, we couldn't take people out, but in a way, I was busier because we were really finding the off markets, even more. And I found that one conversation was leading to another. Like, I actually found real estate agents were more open to saying, "Look, I think there is a house coming up, actually," because suddenly people just became more of a enclosed society. That's the wrong word. What am I trying to say? Just started working better together, I felt.
Everyone was collaborating more.
That's the word. That's the word, Ben.
Yeah, I know. I felt that as well. I felt that.
I think it was such a shock to the system for everybody, because I was a person who was in denial. I was one of the last to go, okay, this is really serious. And but I really found people quite helpful. So I'd be speaking to one realtor and going, actually, there is a house coming up, but it's not me. And I'm like, okay.
You're being nice today.
What's going on? I like COVID.
Yeah. It seems like people became a bit more vulnerable, a bit more open.
Yeah, and let's hope that stays.
That's what I'm praying for.
Yeah, me too. It would be wonderful if the world stayed, because it does feel like we're all now against this big baddie out there, and the baddie's the virus, and we're all looking after each other.
Question, might be a silly question. Are you only servicing women as clients, or will you take on...
No, I'm not ever turning away a client. Well, no, we turn away clients.
Yeah. Of course.
So the funny thing is, I don't tend to work with many single guys. So I work with couples a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, and and we laugh. We have a good laugh with that, because I like to separate them. So I have this thing, giving away a few of my tips now, but I get them to fill in separate briefs, the husband and the wife, no peeking, because that straight away gives me a clue into what's stopping them buying. What's one of the things,
That's smart.
Because a lot of people, again, they don't know what they don't know. And hopefully they love each other, yeah? So one is saying, oh no, if we found a great house up there, I would live there, and vice versa. But really deep down, they're not going to. They're not going to move suburbs, or they're not going to live in an apartment. There's something there that is fundamentally a stop for one of them, and they can go looking for a property for 2 years.
So hypothetically, I'm sure you've been through this, you get 2 client profile forms back, quite different. Do you then, is this intervention now, guys?
Yeah, intervention now.
And unless we come to a mutual agreement, we're not moving forward?
We always come to a mutual agreement.
Who budges first, male, female?
Look, it's, okay, let me think of examples. So that was the male. No, I'd say half and half. A lot of it is just pointing it out. Mm. It's not a gender thing. It's more, personality dominant or whatever. One couple had been together for like 30 years, and she was the one that called me, and she was like, he's getting on my nerves, and this and that. I said, okay, we need to talk. So did this thing. They came in, hardly talking to each other, and their story was, we are in the car on Saturday. She would say to him, stop the car, and he'd say, fine. And she'd get out, slam the door. And what I realised was, she had put, they wanted to buy in the next 3 months, and he said no rush, but she was the one that felt under pressure. Okay. So I said, this is really interesting. And what it's telling me is, his communication with you, he's just showing you stuff. He's just going, what about this one? What about this one? He's not everyone he shows you he wants to buy. He's just trying to have a conversation. And they walked out of my office holding hands.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure is that a rare outcome?
Well, it's usually holding hands. Yeah. But no, there's usually kind of a joy or a breakthrough. So sometimes they're just exhausted and they're like, okay, get it, we get it.
What's happening for Neuro this year? I mean, obviously this year's been a crazy year for everyone.
Yeah.
Is it just business as usual? Obviously you've got your course coming out. Is there anything different happening, or just?
I don't think this is the year for me to change anything on Neuro Property. It is business as usual, but I'm very excited about my course because, as I say, and a lot of it is around understanding the real estate agent and what they do and what they say, and how to look at the property and the negotiation. So I'm really excited, and I'm going to jump into a Facebook group and be part of it. So build a community around that. But it's going to be business as usual because I love it. I love it. What's to change? You don't
in real estate. We don't need to change a lot. I mean,
we don't. I've kind of arrived.
A lot of the old stuff really works. So social media, and there's some new stuff nuances you can do, but a lot of the old stuff still works. And I think a lot of people are trying, I feel like with where we are now in 2020, to use technology to get somewhere quicker, a lot quicker, and take shortcuts. But with what we do in real estate, I believe it's the old stuff that works.
You can't outsource relationships. You can't say to somebody else, make this call, read this, that thing. You've got to just be in front of people and talking, and luckily I quite like that.
You can't outsource relationships. That's what is going to be the title for this discussion.
Okay.
That is one thing that cannot get outsourced.
No, anything pretty much can get outsourced, but that relationship, one of the things I really dislike is when there's almost like, I feel like a con when you are signed up by one buyer's agent and then you sat and you go, actually, it's not me you're working with, this is this other person. And there's been no transparency through that. That really irks me when I hear that. And it happens in a few industries, it's not just ours.
Can I say, why do you really feel you can't outsource relationships? Because a lot of the things we can outsource now, everything's basically outsourced.
Because it's so personal. It's my relationship. I can possibly introduce somebody into there, back into my relationship. Then I'm not in danger, but then they will create their own relationship, and that's different. That's an introduction and a warm. But if people hire people to do what they call cold calling or warm calling, call this person and see if they want to work with me again. It's like, no, that's the one thing that is the relationship. Yeah.
Relationships for real estate is, some people say it's more important than property.
Well, that's ironic. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm a people person. It's my clients I'm passionate about. I know all about property. I know a good one. I know how to negotiate, but it's the clients that I'm passionate about.
Are you very selective with who you take on?
Yes, from experience.
Is that because, would you say you've taken on the wrong client? Or?
Yeah, in the past. And they've always bought, but I think if you and this is any business and actually any part of life, if you take on somebody that you just know is not going to be quite right or are going to be draining on you for some reason, you're actually sabotaging meeting the next great person that you would have met, the next great client that you would have met. And as I say, this is relationships as well, because you're exhausted and your time's all caught up here in this negative area, whereas you should be kind of out there, attracting the people you want. Sorry, Ben.
No, you're right. Like you're spending your time more productively, doing other things. Talking about, I guess, utilising time. Do you feel like your meetings, when you're getting in front of people, they're specifically in that time coming to you, experiencing similar problems? Like a lot of your clients that you decide that you want to work with, typically like all time poor, typically sick of real estate agents. Like, do you find there's a commonality, or is it all very different?
No. There's a commonality. I think there's 5 basic things, isn't it? And one of them is confusion in the household, confusion between the partners. And I think that's missed a lot. People don't delve into that. But absolutely, time poor. And as I say, I have a lot of time for real estate agents. I'm not here to say that they do a bad job, because they do a good job for the vendor. But buyers get very fed up of real estate agents, but they don't understand that underquoting is a way in Sydney. It's quote it low, watch it go, quote it high, watch it die. Like, we are all trained for underquoting in Sydney. If somebody quotes it at the right price, people are going to then add another 10%. In a way, they can't win. So people have to understand underquoting is a norm. 10% is normal. It can be 25%.
Yeah, and you'd know that from being on the sell side.
Oh, I know it from being a buyer's agent, because that's the one thing I never listen to with a real estate agent is what they're actually quoting. That's white noise. You have to do your research and find your comparables and go, well, look, it sits in these properties.
And that's why people engage us as buyers agents, well, especially engage people like yourself who actually understand this. Like, you can see through it all. Like the story you shared earlier was interesting about the buyer who would, when you're a selling agent, would reveal everything to you. And all these buyers, they just got no idea what they're doing.
No, because they don't come across. I mean, we're in this every single day, and I say this to buyers. The good real estate agents are having training every Tuesday morning for like 2 or 3 hours, dialogue. You know, they're role playing. Whereas a buyer will walk into this, the real estate agent's lair, really, once every 7 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. Walking into their playground,
Yeah,
and I think they've got something up on that real estate agent.
Absolutely. And real estate agents know how to build the relationship that I was talking about. They know how to do that. And again, you know, I talk about that in the book. In fact, the auction, I've depicted it as Game of Thrones. So I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones, but of course the buyers are the Norths, the Starks, Lannisters are the real estate agents, and Littlefinger is the auctioneer.
Oh,
He has
I like
no
it.
alliance to anyone.
Well, the auctioneers, I mean, buyers get bullied by the auctioneer,
That's right.
bid against themselves. Real estate agents also put a lot of pressure on buyers. So, I mean, it's an interesting part. We've got a lot to talk about, and we've got to, unfortunately, finish up.
Can I just say one more thing about COVID?
Yes.
I've really enjoyed the way that buyers have been bidding from home because that has given them power. They're not being whispered at or having a real estate, the very loud and successful auctioneer do that. They've actually been sitting in their own lounge room, and I think long may that last.
Auction Now.
Auction Now?
Damien Cooley, did you use that platform?
No, I was thinking of Auction Works, David Scholes.
Oh, I haven't used that.
Okay.
That's, I mean, they're all effectively doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought that was an interesting transition.
Yeah.
And move. I mean, I'm curious to know whether it's going to play out.
Yeah, I do worry that people drink though, because you can't sign. No, it's illegal. I always say people never settle your nerves with a drink, you know.
I didn't think of that. Well, that's you could see some very silly bidding. Seriously, I didn't think of that. If people are drinking or
They're at home. That's the only thing I worry about.
nervous,
Yeah.
where's the best place for people to find you?
Well, my website is newroadproperty.com. And then on Instagram, I'm elaine.davies.inc, I-N-C. I'm Elaine Davies on Facebook. And LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. I kind of that's where I hang.
It's the professional hangout place.
And I'm so professional.
I've noticed on social media you have a new energy about you. It's like it's the new version.
Ah!
Elaine is out here to do something impactful now. I know, and I noticed that. So I'm sure people who are watching are going to look at your social media, whether they, because I've seen the old Elaine, which is great, but it's just, there's a new energy. So
Thank you,
I'm
Ben.
excited to see where you're going to go.
Thank you, Ben.
So-
That's, yeah.
I always love chatting, good energy,
Love chatting to you.
personality. No surprise you're in people, business, real estate. And I think this book is really gold, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
For everyone listening, you can check out Elaine's book, Mind, Body, Sold. I read that last year. She does give away a lot in that book. So if you're a buyer, read it. If you're a buyer's agent, read it. If you're a real estate agent, whatever you do in real estate, I would read it. There's a lot of good information. Check out Elaine on her website. I mean, I used to work with Elaine. Elaine's super impressive. She brings a lot to the table. I mean, she's got an incredible human being, number one, and she's doing this new business, I believe, with a lot of purpose, a different energy she's bringing to the table. And she's got a lot of experience working on the sell side and the buy side. When I used to recruit buyer's agents, I always used to look for buyer's agents who'd worked on the sell side because they understand the mentality of both sides. So if you're a buyer, check out Elaine as well, because she brings a lot to the table for Sydney, for inner city, inner west and the eastern suburbs. See you next week.